All right, this is it. Yep, we're live. Welcome back to the Buzz Pod. Joining us today is the 2017 first overall pick in the USHL's Futures Draft, Cedar Rapids Rough Riders forward, Grant Silianoff. Welcome to the pod.
Thanks, Nico. Thanks for having me.
Grant, man, you're coming in hot after a nice little season in the USHL. You're going into Notre Dame next year, but before we get into that, let's bring it back to you. You're from Edina, Minnesota. Talk a bit about growing up in a hockey hotbed like Edina is.
Yeah, obviously growing up, everybody that you knew basically was playing hockey, and around school, that's the big sport there. And then we got rinks all over. I had a rink in my backyard growing up and stuff, so I was just surrounded by hockey my whole entire life. So having a few family members play hockey, it obviously helped spark it for me. And then, obviously living in Edina, it was a special place to live.
Yeah, definitely. Before we get into actually choosing Shattuck over high school hockey, because I do really want to get into that. Let's talk about me and you met through Avi Friedman. Got to give him a quick shout on the pod. I don't know if he's listening. If he's a listener, I'm definitely going to tell him to give this one a listen. But he's a hockey coach over there, a one-on-one private coach. Talk about your game a bit. Obviously, you love to work on your game. I skated with you that summer. You were already a great player, and that was the year before you went into Shattuck. Talk a bit about your game, what you bring to the table.
Yeah, I think I'm a 200-foot player. Obviously, I'm not a selfish guy. I try and just put the team first with everything, and I'm pretty skilled, though. With all that said, I'm a skilled player. Around the net and stuff, I can get pretty creative, and then I try and play physical and play a hard game also, so I'm not just kind of a perimeter guy, but I like to mix it up a little bit and then, let my skill come out.
Yeah, definitely skilled, I'd say. I remember my Bantam year, the best player on the team was Clayton Keller. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he had 129 points that year, our Bantam year. You had 123 points your Bantam year. Very close. Outstanding season. But before that, you played at Shattuck as an underager and were over a point per game with 69 points in 65 games. Can you talk a bit about choosing Shattuck over high school hockey? Like I said, you grew up in Edina, which has Edina High School right there, which is pretty big deal if you ask me, as a hockey guy. And having that Minnesota high school hockey kind of right there, how do you choose to go to Shattuck over that?
Yeah, I live literally a 2-minute walk from the high school, so I'm right there also. But when I was kind of getting recruited by Shattuck, I guess, to go on a visit, my cousin who played hockey, he toured Shattuck, and he was from Edina also, and he ended up not going, and he stayed at Edina, and he said, he kind of regrets it a little bit. And my grandma and grandpa, they both lived on campus at Shattuck, actually, the Kramer house they lived in. So I had a little connection to Shattuck there with my grandparents, and, kind of was just hey, might as well go there and give it a shot for 1 year, see if I liked it. And then, I ended up loving it, and I kind of took some heat, I guess, leaving high school hockey and going to Shattuck, but, it was all worth it. But
yeah, I can see how you would get some heat, especially being a top guy from your area. But what you said is very smart, actually, that I didn't realize, is that you played as an underager, so you could have easily had a bad experience and then just gone back to high school hockey because you were there as an eighth grader. But obviously, over a point per game playing at Shattuck St. Mary's, not only do you know that and your teammates, but everybody on campus knows that you're an absolute stud. So talk a bit about your first year at Shattuck, being maybe a younger guy. I know they do that every year, so we had two younger guys on our team, and we took them in right away. I mean, they blended in very well, and you, especially being a top guy on the team, talk a bit about your experience.
Yeah, it was good. Obviously, the guys were really welcoming, and, I was in 8th grade and they were in 9th, but I mean, it's still, hanging around older guys and stuff. And I was there with Nick Norman. His brother went to Shattuck, so he was the other underager. Yep, Ryan was there, yeah. So he was the other underager on the team, so we were kind of in it together. But the guys, they took us in, just like we were, as old as them or just kind of mature like them and stuff. And a guy that sticks out is Oliver Wallstrom, is that good? You know, yeah, like
Great play.
having them on your team and stuff. So, the guys were great, and it was an overall good experience with that. And we didn't have a bad guy on the team, so it made it that much better.
Were you a day student there? Because you lived in Minnesota?
Yeah, no, I lived in the dorms actually. I just wanted to get, the full experience and hang out with the guys
Yeah,
and get away
man,
from
I
home.
love that. I'm so happy you said that because this pod
Yeah.
can be so much more interesting now. Which dorm did you live in?
First 2 years I lived in Breck, and then I went to Clap
Oh,
for
okay. So I
software.
lived in Clap. I only went there my Bantam year. As
Yeah.
you probably know, but I lived in Clap, and what a time that was. Can you talk a bit about because you got to stay for 3 years, whereas I only went for one, and I can tell you to this day that's like
Hmm.
the most fun that I've ever had. And especially being like an underage kid, getting like that college experience. But
Yeah.
without the booze, it's like even better because like the boys
Yeah.
are just always trying to find something to do. You can't just get wasted. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
talk about being there for years and like getting to experience that just over and over.
Yeah, like it wasn't like we were just partying there. Like honestly, it was just like a great time hanging out with the guys there and stuff. And in the dorms, obviously, like no girls are allowed. So, you get a lot of guy time and you're always finding something to do. And you mature very quick. Like I would say like I'm a pretty mature guy now because of living on my own and living in the dorms at such a young age and stuff. So, like I have so many memories from Shattuck just in the dorms doing, stupid shit there. So,
Yeah, dude,
it
I
was
can't
great.
even like count the amount of stupid shit we've done in those dorms. But like one that sticks out to me is just like playing tag around the dorms or guys peeing in trash cans at night
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Just normal Shattuck stuff. But
Yeah.
talk a bit about like after your second Bantam year, you absolutely lit it up with 123 points in 61 games. You actually had over a goal per game with 62 goals in 61 games. That must have been so fun to play hockey
Oh,
that year. But you get drafted ninth round in the WHL. I'm guessing because you probably told them you didn't want to go. Can you talk a bit about that season and then get into why you didn't choose the WHL and why you chose the NCAA route?
yeah. So that season, it was a lot of fun, and we had a really good team. The whole year we were a very good team. I think we lost maybe 4 or 5 games that whole year.
And that's 2001 BT1, right?
Yep, yep.
Okay.
So we were, obviously a really good team, and then we ended up winning the national tournament. So that made it that much better, and we just had such a good time. And it wasn't that, like I was doing well, but it was just hanging out with the guys and our team success, which was really fun because that makes everything better. And then the WHL draft was coming up, and at that time I was already committed to Notre Dame.
Okay,
And
that's what I was wondering.
yep. So I was pretty set on that. I committed there my first Bantam year, so it wasn't really like a question for me, like if I was going to go or not. And they were trying to see like if I would go or not, and I was just kind of saying like, hey, like wasn't my route or whatever, and they still took a chance on me. So I was in contact with them like right after the draft, but I always just told them college is my plan. So
Yeah. Talk a bit about like after your second year, you had so much success, but coming back to Shattuck, and this is something that a lot of people don't know, is when you play at Shattuck, every year you go back, you try out over again, right? So a lot of people don't know that. So
yeah.
that's a big thing. That's a lot of the reason why people leave Shattuck. They're not sure where they're going to be the next year. They don't want to take the chance, and they have a spot in the same league on another team, for example. But can you talk a bit about going back after such a successful year and not cracking the prep squad? Because I'm assuming that was your goal after getting over a goal per game.
Yeah, obviously I wanted to make that team. Everybody wants to make the team and stuff. And I think at the same time, my body, I wasn't really filled out or anything. And at that point, I kind of, didn't really know like my game, I guess. I didn't know like how to play, like a hard, dirty game or whatever, like in the corners and stuff. So I think it was just, me learning basically about my own game and kind of trying to learn what I can do better at the U16 level and not the prep level and get thrown in where I'm going against seniors in high school where I would be a sophomore. So I was kind of disappointed not making it, but at the same time, I knew I was going to be with more of my friends from the year before
Yeah.
and on the Shattuck team. So, it was a really fun year, though. I loved it.
Yeah,
UCC.
no, I mean, I'd assume so. You also lit that year up with 73 points in 55 games, so well over a point per game. And you get drafted first overall in the futures draft in the USHL by the Cedar Rapids Rough Riders. But so can you explain a little bit how that works, the futures draft? I was never drafted in the USHL. I remember after my first draft year, I think you're like 15 or 16, and I went to a camp as a free agent and signed as an affiliate. But can you talk about how like the draft works with like the futures and the phase 1 and 2 and everything, and what getting drafted in the futures means? Because you ended up going back to Shattuck.
Yeah, so like the futures draft is basically for the future, they kind of say, where it's only one birth year. So that year it was only O1s in the futures draft, and there's 10 rounds in that. And basically it's like if you don't sign a tender with like a team before, and then basically you would have to make the team out of camp if you want to play there, or you could say no. So like you weren't really like guaranteed a spot, but at the same time, like you could also say no if you did make the team. And then the phase two is more just like everybody who's still eligible for the league. They
Okay.
get put into like a
Understand.
pool and
Yeah.
then get picked, basically. Yeah.
Okay, so talk about so you get drafted first overall. So I mean, I don't know what that team's thinking, but if I draft someone first overall, I want them to play on the team. So can you talk about your first USHL camp experience?
Yeah, like it was fun. I was talking to them during the year because they had a really, really bad year. I think they won 12 games the whole year. So they were bad and they knew they were going to have the first pick. So in about December, I started talking to them. And then I went on like a little visit down there, kind of, like a college visit, but with
That's
juniors. And then the draft came around and they told me, like I think in March, like, hey, we're gonna take you, like, if you don't sign a tender anywhere else. So I knew I always had that. And then when they picked me, I went to camp and I had a really good time there. Like the pace was obviously much higher than like U16 I was just playing in and stuff. But then we just kind of came to the agreement, like they wanted me to come but didn't know like how many games I would play. And at that point, I didn't want to throw myself into that situation of, being like a healthy scratch every night and not knowing when I was going to get in the lineup. So I just thought it was best for myself where I can develop at Shattuck for one more year, then go in there and maybe, have my confidence ruined or, not be in the lineup.
yeah, I mean, I think that's a super smart choice. I mean, that topic is brought up on this podcast quite often where guys put themselves in situations where maybe they're not so ready for, where they would have excelled more if they had held themselves back a year, for lack of better words. But you go back to Shattuck as your third year. You're obviously super comfortable. Now you're on the big boy team, the prep team, the one that all the girls love. You're over a point per game again, 67 points in 55 games. You actually get after that year, I'm guessing you go and play 2 games in the USHL, and you get point per game, 2 goal, 1 goal, 1 assist. Sorry, 2 points, and then you play in the World Junior A Challenge for USA and win the gold medal. So that's quite the year. I'd say you also played in the USHL NHL top prospects game that year, correct?
Yeah.
So that's quite the year, man. Like you made the prep team finally, which is like the main goal for everyone that ever goes to Shattuck. And then that year you end up getting called up after the season, playing 2 games. Obviously have success there with 2 points, and then gold medal, and then USHL NHL top prospects game, which that's usually just for guys that like really played in the league. So can you talk about like that whole year, that whole experience of that?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. We were trying to get me up to play with them throughout the whole year in Cedar Rapids, but Shattuck wouldn't let me go up. So right when our season ended in nationals, I got a call from the coach and he said like, "Hey, come up." So I got right off the bus and then drove right down to Cedar Rapids actually, and they said, for however long we're still playing because they were 1 point out of playoffs, that if they were gonna make it, they wanted me there. So got off the bus and drove right down to Cedar Rapids. Didn't turn in any school. Obviously hockey players we don't do that here. So just went right down and played those 2 games, and you know, it was really fun, and we ended up not making playoffs, but still like super fun to go there for the 2 games. Great experience.
I for the first time.
Yeah, that was scary. um, but
um,
yeah.
yeah, dude. So then you go on. Talk a bit about the World Junior A Challenge. I don't know much about that. You guys won gold that year. You had an apple. Where was that?
That was in Bonnyville, Alberta, I think it was. So right by Edmonton, couple hours out there. I don't really know, a small city. But that was really fun. You know, that's made up of like I guess like the best players in the USHL, and we were there, and there's just a lot of, you know, like older guys, veteran guys from the league, and then being a young guy on that team, that was super cool, and just learning from those guys, even though they're in my league, like I can still learn from them and the stuff they do. And honestly, to cap it off, you know, we had got a gold medal in it, so that was really cool. You know,
Yeah, nice. You get the medal, or do you get a ring also, or no, just like a medal?
just a medal, and then I
Like
had
a
a
gold
shirt.
medal.
Yeah, it's a gold medal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just a gold medal. But so then you go on. You're playing in the USHL the following year. Your first full year in the USHL is your NHL draft year actually, and you put up 41 points in 55 games, 18 goals, 23 assists. That is sick for a rookie in the USHL. That is sick for a guy of your age in his first NHL draft year. Your final ranking was 60th overall by Central Scouting for North American skaters, which is around the fourth round, if I'm not mistaken. Um, can you talk a bit about not getting drafted? You were obviously, I mean, I don't know if you were, but if I was in your shoes, I would be expecting to be drafted in the National Hockey League that season. So, can you talk about not getting drafted in the National Hockey League? What it meant to you back then, how it affected your mental, like maybe if you struggled a bit with it, and then what it means to you now and how you've used it to kind of, if you have, to turn things around.
Yeah, you know, I thought I had a really good year that year. And actually in December I broke my hand during that year, but I had no idea, so I just kind of like played through it, and I think that affected me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that affected me. I had no idea that like I broke it, and then you know, when the draft was around, I had, you know, I was talking to probably over half the teams and stuff, and didn't really know, like I never got it confirmed like, hey, like we're drafting you, but it was more like, hey, if you're in the 3 to 7 round range, like we're gonna be looking at you. And then, you know, obviously I didn't get picked, and you know, that was tough for me. I thought, you know, maybe I was gonna get picked and was hoping to. And then when I didn't, you know, it was kind of just motivation on that. And you know, obviously like not everybody can get picked with that, but I was for sure pretty mad about that and pissed off, you know, and kind of used it as motivation throughout, you know, this year, and then leading forward still, you know, I still got 2 more years of the draft
Yeah.
remaining. So.
Yeah, definitely, man. I find a guy like you with the successful season that you had and all the successful seasons that you've had prior would have been expecting to be drafted. But I love to hear, and I read that article about your hand and stuff, and in that article they asked you about, getting snubbed, how they said in the NHL draft and whatnot, and how I love that your response was just, I'm using it as a motivation. The past is in the past, and I'm gonna leave it there and move forward. And speaking of moving forward, you're about to go into your first year in NCAA Division One hockey for Notre Dame. Not a big deal. So can you talk a bit about you've been committed there for a really long time,
Mhm.
and most guys that commit at a young age nowadays, I find, end up decommitting and finding another route. But you've stayed true to Notre Dame since eighth grade. So can you talk a bit about finally now going in there and getting to live that, what you've been waiting for?
Yeah, you know, I'm really excited for it. My cousin actually played college hockey there. So when I was growing up, I would go down there and go on road trips and stuff with my family and go and watch him, and then kind of just live through him. And ever since he went there, I was like, wow, like I want to go there. And then when the opportunity came, I knew I wanted to take it. And, you know, there was never like a question ever if I was going to ever decommit. Like that was never my plan. I knew I always wanted to go there. And that's not like the type of person I am, I guess, to, you know, turn my back on a school like that. And I just thought the situation was right for me to go there with everything. And then now finally being able to go there this year, I'm so excited to get down there and get everything going because, I'm 20 years old, just starting college. I'm trying to get into school, get back
Yeah,
in.
no,
So
yeah, dude. I mean, I hear you. That's gonna be an unbelievable experience for you, and for you going in there as a guy that's ready to prove himself, undrafted in the National Hockey League, but clearly just a pure skill guy. I mean, you're barely ever. I mean, you're never under a point per game almost. So like going in there, you're going into the University of Notre Dame. Not is it a sick school? But I mean, you're a top dog there, dude. You're on the Division 1 hockey team. I remember when I played for, I think I went there 2 times. One time when I played for Shattuck, one time when I played for Omaha for a tournament there. Did you guys do a tournament there?
yeah, our Bantam team one year went out there for a tournament. Yeah.
Yeah, so we did that, and that was insane. That's kind of like I feel like when you're a Bantam, I mean, you obviously did, but I didn't know shit about hockey, like really, like hockey and everything. And you see that, and you're like, holy
Yeah.
smokes, this is
Yeah.
sick. And when we're playing, there's like only our parents in the stands. But, like,
Yeah.
to imagine it packed. I want to ask a question though. Have you, because you obviously toured maybe when you committed, but have you been back there since, like recently, or no?
Yeah, I went on my official visit 2 years ago. So they brought me down on my official, and I was able to spend a weekend there and hang out with the guys that year. And we went to a Michigan Notre Dame home opener for the football. So we got a tailgate there and go to the game and went on the field. So that was pretty cool. So I've been there and I got to tour it a little bit more than I did when I was
So
younger.
you're one of the first guys, if not the first guy, that's got to come on the Buzz Pod with a real college hockey recruit visit experience. Because most guys that come on, they keep saying, "Man, I went on a Sunday, I didn't get to go out, blah 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 blah." But you got to tailgate with the boys, go to a home opener football game, so they really reeled you in there.
Yeah, yeah. Like they brought us there, I think, on a Thursday night, and then we just kind of hung out in a hotel. And then Friday we woke up and, we're having fun with the
So
guys.
you were there? Were you there with a couple recruits?
I was there with one kid who's there now, Trevor Janicki. So he ended up going in, and it was us two together. Yeah. So it was only us. And then, we just had a really good weekend there. Fun times.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. So, can we talk a bit about like now? So right now, there's obviously this whole coronavirus. We're all waiting here, waiting for this thing to end or for people to forget about it, I guess. But can you talk about your summer now? Talk a bit about your summer trainings. Maybe how they've evolved over the years. I remember me and you used to skate together with Avi, like I mentioned earlier. I realize that you're a big on ice guy because I'm pretty sure we were skating every day. So talk a bit about what your summers are like.
Yeah, when I was younger, I tried to just brush up, I guess, on my skills and stuff. And I didn't want to start, weight training with really heavy weights, I guess, at that age, and was more on ice. And then now with like this whole Corona thing, I'm more of an off ice guy. I have to be. So Notre Dame has sent us a few workouts to do and stuff because we were supposed to be actually down there for summer school right now, trying to go through that and doing school and working out and stuff. So they kind of just sent it for us to do on our own at home. So I've been, just kind of following that, and we just got a Peloton bike. So I've been ripping that, getting
That's
back in shape. Yeah, but
that's sick.
kind of
But
just doing weight training now. Yeah.
are you a big Netflix guy? I mean, you're obviously not a book guy, but are you a Netflix guy?
Yeah, Netflix for sure. Yeah, not a
What
book.
what do you got for us?
I mean, like I just watched Outer Banks. Like I thought that was really
Whoa,
good.
whoa, whoa! You're the first guy to come on the pod and mention Outer Banks. I was legit
Really?
about to say I gotta give a shout out to Outer Banks. I haven't mentioned it on the podcast. Just started it. I'm 2 episodes deep. I mentioned I was watching Ozark.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to Clayton Keller. Not a big deal. I don't like it that much. It's just I don't know. I didn't like Breaking Bad either. Don't judge me. But Outer Banks is something I can definitely get behind. I
Yeah.
love it, man. I'm on Epi 2. Started last night. I'm buzzing through it.
I wish I could go back to where you're at right now and just rewatch it, not knowing anything. I wish I could.
All I'm gonna say is they got the compass. They got the compass.
Oh, there you go. There you go, man. I wish I could go back to that. That's unreal. That's a
So,
good show, though.
did you finish it? You said.
Yep, finished it. Yeah, I finished it
Oh,
in like
what
2
are you
days.
into now?
I mean, I haven't really like I guess settled on a show. Like I've been kind of trying to find like Breaking Bad, but I didn't think that was interesting. There's a show kind of like Outer Banks called Bloodline that my dad tried to get me into and didn't really like that. But like my bread and butter, I guess, is How I Met Your Mother. Like just a
Oh,
classic
okay.
show for me.
Yeah,
Um,
that's too.
it's not on Netflix anymore, but it's on Hulu for anybody who has Hulu out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are my shows, I guess. Yeah.
I find Netflix, man, like once in a while they'll bring out a new show that's good, like Outer Banks, but for the most part, dude, I've crushed Netflix.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I've crushed it all. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like I hate to admit it, but I've crushed it all.
Yeah.
But if you have you watched Money Heist?
Oh, was that about robbing a bank?
Yeah.
That I have, yeah. Yeah. That
Come
was
on,
good.
dude. That you would remember that. That was a fucking good
All right.
one.
Yeah. I mean, like I'm not like a huge movie guy though. Like,
That's not a movie. That's a show,
is it a
dude.
show?
There's a movie now too, though. Actually, that's why you
Then
probably
maybe
don't.
that's the one I'm thinking of.
No, bro, dude, watch the show
Yeah.
Money Heist. It's a big show. Like they just came out with a brand new season. It's incredible.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people that are watching right now have seen it. We've talked about it on the pod before. It's a sick show. But other than that, so you're working out, you're watching Netflix. Is there anything else you're doing to keep yourself occupied?
I mean, like just hanging out, like, you know, for the boys, like I got a girlfriend, so I've been hanging out with her a little bit. Just trying to soak it all in though, get some sun.
Yeah, I like that. Is it getting nice there over there in Minnesota?
Yeah, we had 70s like last week, and then this week has been kind of colder, but yeah, it's been nice and sunny.
Oh, because in Montreal where I was, I got a couple buddies up there. It's snowing again. It was sunny last week. It's snowing. I don't even know how you guys put up with that shit, but that's beyond me. But do you have maybe like a funny USHL or even like a Shattuck like locker room story that you can think of that pops into your head? Something that could be told on the story. I mean, told on the pod. That's not gonna sewer anybody or yourself. Obviously, like at Shattuck, one that I can think of is like I don't know, like a locker box. We had a sick locker box story where one of the guys needed to get stitches. Like we had a big locker box after the game one
Yeah.
night. You know how at Shattuck, like after the games, like you can just stay in the room if you want. Like the rink is
Sure.
ours. So
Yeah, you're in the room.
so like the guys would all leave the room and like the final like 4 or 5, our little clique that we had over there. I'm not gonna name names, but we had a locker box like really late at night, like really late, like 2-3 hours post game, and one of the guys ended up needing to get stitches, and we ended up going to the nurse, which I don't know if that was the same nurse, a super nice blonde lady.
Miss Cook. Miss Cook.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
So, and she was like, "Oh, like this happened during the game, and like it looks fresh, like yeah, happened during the game, like didn't go, whatever." So, like, you got anything kind of similar to that?
From like like honestly, I kind of heard about stories from like your guys' group, like when I was like, I'm not gonna name names on this also because I don't know if you were involved, but in the clap dorm, like the guys taking off the window screen and going out at night. Like I don't know if I'm suing anybody here. I'm not gonna name
Oh,
names.
you're not. I mean, as long as you don't say names,
Everybody's
there's
gone,
definitely that involved.
Yeah, everybody's gone, so I heard stories and maybe after we got out of there, they upped the security on it. That might be all I would say about that and go back to campus, right in the morning when the dorms open back up. But, you guys kind of set that way with it. And then,
Yeah, I mean, I feel like because you know what is great about our team is that I feel like we created so many memories. Maybe some are good, some are maybe looked at, maybe frowned upon now, but I feel like that's why I have a strong connection with even guys like you that went to Shattuck years after because of the stories that were told.
yeah, like our Bantam team, we would get compared to your guys's. I remember that, because we were troublemakers. We just didn't really care. I mean, I think it's kind of like we both knew like we were good teams and like didn't really care about school as much.
Yeah,
So like
definitely.
we had a bunch of clowns on our team. So, on those like Eagle Bluff trips and stuff, we would,
I,
screw around and try and, try and ruin it for other people maybe a little bit. But I don't know. A funny story from the USHL though. We ended up our last regular season game. We were in Central Illinois, and it was their last game ever as an organization because they ended up folding.
oh,
And,
okay.
we were there, and we had swept the weekend, so we went around and we couldn't find a broom anywhere. So we finally like stormed into the Zamboni room and like stole it right out from the Zamboni guy. And he was like, "What are you guys doing with that?" We're like, "We just need it real quick." We spill it, like brought it back in, and then, we snap a broom after we sweep. So we snapped it, throwing it around, doing whatever. And you got those tables in the locker room that are like the big like plastic tables that hold the Gatorade jugs on them and stuff. And
Yeah, the
we,
gray ones with
yep,
the black legs.
yep, the big ones. So we cleared everything off and stacked the jugs like on top of each other. And then some kid stepped on a chair and tried to like Bill's Mafia the table, and he
Yeah.
kept like going at it and going at it. And then finally the table, it didn't break, but like it fell. And then he was so jacked up that he went over to the Gatorade cans and tackled them, and the caps weren't on them, and they were still full of Gatorade, and there was no drain in the locker room. So the thing starts going everywhere, and I was on the other side of the locker room, so like we're all grabbing our stuff, and the guys all over there, their bags were soaked, like pants, shirts, sweatshirts. So we got to go back to Cedar Rapids, like a 4-hour drive maybe. And these guys have to like put on to get to the bus. They have to put on like their Gatorade soaked clothes to get on the bus. And
Oh,
then when we get
yeah.
on the bus, they strip down like in their underwear or whatever. They didn't want to wear it. And it picked up a pretty good fine in court. And then somebody else got him back. The kid who tackled the Gatorade, they got him back by throwing his gitch out after a game and threw it in the garbage. And he never got it back.
Oh my God. Well, that's a big fine, no? I mean, in the USHL, I'll tell you one thing though.
Yeah.
Because I played in the USHL and then I ended up playing major junior. But in the USHL, like it's kind of weird how much they fine you guys because like you guys don't even make money.
We don't make money, but like I mean, you got the rookie blankets going around and everything, and
All the
obviously
time.
when you're not a rookie, like it feels great though, giving one out, But but yeah,
100. When you're a rookie, you're calling mom, like I need another $5. Yeah, I know another five. I know every week. Yeah,
you
just
need it.
you just spent 100.
Like seriously, like yeah, we don't make money out there, so like it's not like we're getting a paycheck in like weekly or monthly or whatever it is. But yeah, no, we're just finding left and right, and it gets to a point where it's like, all right, like enough's enough. But then you just got that one thing where you're like, I need to find this kid for that, and
There's
yeah,
always that one guy on the team that like gets run up like
oh
five
yeah.
in the year, but like everybody loves the guy, but everybody like not hates
You
the
love
guy,
to
but
rip on
wants
him,
to.
though. You
Yeah,
love
you
to rip
have to.
on him. Yeah, I know
I hear
exactly
it.
what you're saying.
All right. Well, dude, that's all I got. I got blank sheet on my second page. I only got one, so that's all I got for you. Grant Silianoff, baby, first overall pick in the future draft 2017, going into Notre Dame to prove everyone wrong. Thanks for not drafting me, baby.
Thanks, Nico.
Thanks for coming on, bro. Really
Yeah,
appreciate it.
thank you.